Damn, it's hot. All right, let's get this going. What's going on, guys? This is Trent, and this is the hot seat of college football show. Can we believe it? College football's back. It has been a very quick off season this year. I know some years drag more than others. This last month has been a little bit of drag. There's been a lot of news in Big Ten, Ohio State, team up north recently. But we're not going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about the games that we have on Friday, August 29th, 2025. We are less than 12 out. We're 18 hours away from number 1 Texas versus number 3, really number 2 Ohio State. And I'm ecstatic. I've wanted to do this for a while. We're going to get this going now. And might as well kick it off with Friday last-minute locks. Talk about some of the games we have tonight, and then we'll talk about some of the games that we have tomorrow morning. And then also games on Sunday and Monday. It is a jam-packed week. Week 1 has always just been just energy, 5-6 days of just straight football. So yeah, it has been a very chaotic week if we're looking at betting. A lot of lines are going down. We've seen some flips, especially with one of the games tonight. With Baylor and Auburn. Auburn was a 2.5-point favorite a couple of weeks ago. And looking at the lines, Baylor is actually favorited right now. So that is something interesting that we'll talk about in a little bit. But we'll just go ahead and say thank you for watching The Hot Seat, a college football show, the newest college football show. And I knew if I wanted to start this, we're going to start this right before the season starts. And I know week 0 has been week 0. I think Nebraska and Cincinnati played the other night. But this is where the real games start. So yeah, today we're going to do a segment called Last Minute Locks. It's a show we're going to do on Friday. And then on Sunday, I know there's going to be more games happening on Sunday and Monday, but we're going to do our recap show after the whistle. So just keep this brief. We're going to go ahead and quickly get into some of these games. We're going to flip over to the monitor over here. So let's talk about it. Baylor versus Auburn. This one will be fun. It's kind of annoying that this game's happening at the same time as Colorado Georgia Tech. So take that as it is. Obviously, YouTube TV is right there for us with the multi-view. But yeah, let's talk about Auburn a little bit. Auburn coming off of a really disappointing season. Either one, 5-7 or 4-8. But yeah, they're opening the season on the road. They got a new quarterback, Jackson Arnold. If you guys listen to any football show over the past year, you'll have probably heard the name Jackson Arnold. Yeah, what a disaster. what a disaster Jackson Arnold was. Obviously highly recruited coming out of high school. I think he was Gatorade Player of the Year. At least one of the couple years, maybe one of the state, I don't know, but he was. I think he was a Gatorade Player of the Year. Highly recruited. Brent Venables was very excited. They were very excited to take him in, and it was pretty terrible. Oklahoma was pretty terrible last year. They barely beat Houston. Just absolutely disaster year, first year in the SEC. Very disappointing season for Sooner faithful. So they pushed him out. Obviously, remember, Jackson Arnold was the guy. They pushed Dylan Gabriel out. Dylan Gabriel was a Heisman finalist for the Ducks last year. Went 13 number 1 seeds. They pushed him out for Jackson Arnold, who got benched pretty quickly. And then they got the other guy in. I forget his name. But I think he started when they played Bama. So they did beat Bama. That was a pretty inconsistent Bama team, as we know. And yeah, so they push him out. He goes to Auburn, which I find so funny because Hugh Freeze is on. This is it for Hugh Freeze. If they go 6, even if they make a bowl game, he talked in interviews, want to make a bowl game. If they go 6, he's gone. He's gone 6-6. John Gruden wants to coach again, either like Arkansas or Auburn will take him. But yeah, no, this is a really make or break year for Auburn. So they bring Jackson Arnold in. I do think Auburn's offense this year is better than Oklahoma's on paper roster-wise. Last year, I know Oklahoma had tons and tons of injuries. But you got guys, you got like the Georgia Tech receiver transfer, Eric Singleton Jr. You obviously have Cam Coleman, top 5 receiver in the country. So, you know, obviously lines of scrimmage might be an issue, especially with injuries. But Auburn's got a decently tough schedule. Not as bad as Oklahoma's, but this is a game where obviously, okay, it's not in the SEC. This game will not hurt them going to the SEC championship, but Auburn's not winning the SEC. So this is a game where if they go 9-3, this will be the game that kept them out. A 10-2 Auburn team with that schedule, with wins over maybe Bama, like Georgia, like they will get in. So this is a must-win game for Hugh Freeze. The problem is I don't think they're gonna win this game. Baylor is favored by 1.5 right now. They were, I think, 2.5-point underdogs. If you see what it opened with, it opened actually. Well, right now it says it opened Auburn, but a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I'm pretty sure Auburn was favored. So, this is a big game. So let's switch over to Baylor real quick. So the Big 12 being what the Big 12 is, who knows? Like we just even what we've just seen, Cincinnati just lost to Nebraska. We can see at the top here, Iowa State beat Kansas State. And Kansas State, obviously returning Avery Johnson, they lost Dylan Edwards at the beginning of that game. And then the concern for Iowa State was the receivers, which it showed. Obviously, the 2 guys, Higgins getting drafted to the Texans. The other guy also got drafted to the Texans too. So that was a concern, but they got it done. It was obviously the weather conditions were what they were. So with this being a home game for Baylor, I just trust. I trust Sawyer Robinson. He is a ball. I mean, they won. I think they started off like 3-3 at the beginning of the season, but they won their last 6 regular season games. And obviously, they lost to LSU. If we see down here, if we scroll down, they took a loss to LSU, but I get LSU was unranked, but that was still a way better team. And they put up 31 on them. And that was supposed to be like an improved LSU defense. So take that for how you went to the bowl game. Baylor is favored. So I don't really know if I should be calling this like an upset. Obviously, I think Auburn has more talent. I think they're the bigger bodies. But I think Hugh Freeze is their head coach. So, this one will be fun. This one's on Fox at 8. It is unfortunate because today, this game actually happens in a couple hours. The rest of the day is today, like, there's not many games happening. So, many good games. And they could have maybe spaced this one out, maybe have had Georgia Colorado earlier in the day and then have this game, but no. They're both at the same time. They'll have to watch them both at the same time, or maybe when one commercial breaks on, you unpause the other one. However you like to do that. So for the first pick of the 2025 season for Friday night locks, last minute locks, I'm going with Baylor. They're favored. You look at the predictor; they're slightly ahead of Auburn. But Auburn lost to Cal last year. So Cal was pretty terrible. So we're gonna go with Baylor here. And we're gonna tally these ones up at the end of the season. Here, we'll switch over to the spreadsheet we have. We zoom in a little more if we can. There we go. Obviously, this is the little predictions for week 0. We went 2-2. Could have done better, but it's week 0. So for first, let me Yeah, where is Baylor Auburn? Yeah, so obviously Auburn's not favored anymore. So we're gonna go ahead and actually fix that. -1.5. We're gonna go with Baylor. So Baylor is gonna be the first pick we're gonna do, and we're gonna focus on these two, and then we're gonna kind of skim over some of the other ones, some of the smaller ones. So quickly, let's go to this one. So all right, Georgia Tech versus Colorado. This game is at Boulder. Boulder, look, it's not a hard place to play, but it's not an easy place to play, especially for a team like Georgia Tech. It has seemed coming out of camp, these two teams have had very interesting off seasons. So Georgia Tech obviously losing Eric Singleton, just talked about him with Auburn. This is going to have to be more of a Haynes King show. But obviously with Haynes King, we have the running backs back too. King Jr. They're both like King something. So they're returning their quarterback and the running back. And I think that's why they're favored by 3. Colorado had a much better record last year, but at the end of the season, especially in that Georgia game, yeah, 8 overtime, Jesus. I think they were a better team than Colorado. Colorado kind of got exposed because their schedule looked hard, but then all the teams they played were the top teams in the Big 12 preseason. But then the Big 12 flipped. All the good teams were bad, and all the bad teams were good. So Colorado had a kind of easy-ish schedule for Big 12 standards, which is why they are underdogs here. It's at home though, so I think a neutral site. Vegas thinks that Georgia Tech is about a touchdown better. So let's go over to Colorado. So Deion is still at Colorado. I know that was a little bit of like an off-season what if is would Deion still be there? He is. He stayed. He didn't go to the NFL with his kids. This is the first time he's coached a team without his kids. High school, FCS, then Colorado. He's always been with Deion. And obviously, Travis Hunter with Jackson State in Colorado. So first time he hasn't had them, they just named their starting quarterback, Caden Salter, the Liberty transfer. He was pretty good. Liberty was kind of disappointing last year. 2 years ago, he was pretty good. They obviously had that loss to Oregon in the Holiday Bowl, I think. They were undefeated. If there were the 12-team playoff happened a year earlier, Liberty would have been the team that made it. They went 13-0. Finished season 13-1. Great season. Last year, pretty disappointing. They lost to Kennesaw State, who's a new FCS 2 years ago. So last year was their first year in the FBS. So I still think he's good. If you've played college football 25 or 26 a lot of, especially 25, man. The hype for him, Caden Salter was just winning the Heisman at Liberty. So I don't really know what was going on there. But no, Caden Salter's talented. But obviously Colorado not having Shiloh, not having Shadur, not having Travis. This will be a growing pain, I think, for Colorado. I think this season, maybe part of the season will be a little bit of a growing pain. Do they still have Dallin Hayden? Actually, I don't know. But they still have the lineman, I don't know, what is his name? I forget, but they have the really talented lineman at Colorado, and I don't know though. I really trust Georgia Tech. I think Brent Key is a very good head coach. I think Georgia Tech has a chance to make the playoff this year. I mean, look at that Georgia game last year. I mean, that was like Georgia was head and shoulders better than Georgia Tech. But I don't know. Georgia Tech took it to the wire. They did blow a 17-0 lead at half, though, so take that for how you want it. I don't think any of these coaches are on the hot seat. Talking about the Auburn-Baylor game, Hugh Freeze is on the hot seat. Oh, my God. I don't know. Is he number one on the hot seat? He might be number one on the hot seat. I don't even, who else is Mike Gundy. I'm trying to think of other coaches. James Frank. I don't think James Franklin's actually on the hot seat, but the media will tell you that he is. We're going with Georgia Tech here. I went Georgia Tech, and I think they'll cover. Baylor, obviously, I think Baylor will cover 1.5, just a small line. So let's go through the big three. Let's just rip all the Band-Aid. Look at the three best games on Saturday and Sunday. Let's start off with the big one. The one that we've all been waiting for. Texas at Ohio State. Obviously, you guys see in the back, I am a Buckeye fan, but man, I'm picking Texas. I've been so back and forth on this game. Here, let's really pull up the line. Earlier today, Texas was favored, but I think it's flipped again. Yeah, Ohio State's favored again by 1.5. Obviously, last year was just what a game last year was. The Jack Sawyer play. Almost as high as I think the Zeke play against Bama in the Sugar Bowl 2015, 2014. Matchup predictor has Texas a little favored. So on neutral site, Texas I think would be favored by 2.5. Looking at the line, if we think home is 3 points, but like you look at what these teams are both bringing to the table, and it's so even, especially since it's Ohio State at home, knowing and like you look at the defense for Texas. They're returning their coordinators, and they have it's preseason, but they have a preseason All-American at every level of the defense. Michael Taft at safety, Anthony Hill at linebacker, and Colin Simmons at edge rusher. That is a problem, especially with how Texas wants to change coverages. I mean, they will pick you off if Julian Sand makes a mistake. Obviously, going with Ohio State's offense, man, this is one of the best offenses in the country. This is up there with LSU and Clemson this year. Julian Sand's making his first start. I know we've all seen the statistic of the 0-16, 0-18 for new starting quarterbacks against number one. But also, this is the first number one versus number two, number one versus number three open of the season ever. This has never happened before, so I think you can throw that statistic out of the window. I don't think it ever even fits what the game is going to be. So let's talk about Ohio State's offense real quick. So Julian Sand obviously making his first start. This offensive line does not have blue chip talent, but if you look at last year's offensive line, people are like, oh, they lost 4 starters. Yeah, they lose 4 starters at the beginning of the season. Those guys didn't play. McLaughlin, their center, the Remington Award winner, All-American, tore his ACL. He was out for the season after the Northwestern game. Josh Simmons was out in the Oregon game early, and then Donovan Jackson had to slide out to tackle. So he wasn't even playing his main position. And then Josh Fryer, come on, I think he was very good. He was a veteran, but I don't think I think this year's right tackle with Ethan Onyawa and Philip Daniels, I think that is an upgrade. But the interior, the center, right guard, and left guard, that rotation is still here. And you look at Ohio State, what they talk about in training camp and fall camp, and it's over to the spring and the offseason, is these linemen are going to be playing secondary positions. And I think this is kind of a new strategy for lack of depth with the transfer portal and NIL. So I think I think Ohio State's offensive line is going to be better than Texas, but they still have to fend off this Texas defensive line. Linebacker rooms, I think, are a push. Safeties, I'm going to give it to Ohio State just because they have Caleb Downs. But looking at offenses, I think you have to give the quarterback to Texas. Arch, look, he hasn't been a starter. He hasn't started real games, but at least he has started a couple games. And he showed the talent of being having a lot of movement, like something that his other family members have not had. But I do think this Ohio State linebacker core has been, I think they're lights out. I think they're super athletic, and I think they'll be able to, kind of maybe fend off that little, the threat of Arch running. But you get into the rest of this offense, man. Running backs, I think you're going to push to Texas, but like Ohio State's, they're not untalented, they're just new. So we will see in the first half of how we want to use these runners. I think both teams are actually going to run the ball quite a lot. But let's get to the fun part. Ohio State's overall receiving core, and my goodness, this is Ohio State above everyone in the country. You have Jeremiah Smith, I mean, potentially the best collegiate player we have seen since Adrian Peterson, maybe ever. Brandon Inniss, and the captain, and then Carnell Tate, Mylan Graham, Quincy Porter, just Bryson Rogers. I'm talking about him. I mean, he actually, I mean, they're saying he's gonna be the fourth over Mylan Graham. That is just, you can't stop that. I mean, they're gonna try to take away Jeremiah, but Carnell and Inniss are gonna pop, and they're just gonna maybe listen to this, go back in coverage. Man, like. Dude, Max Clare is going to be a household name, I think, within the first half. I think Max Clare, so the transfer from Purdue, one of the best linebackers in the country. I think the best linebacker from like a real contender. I think the people that people are putting ahead of him are Eli Stowers of Vanderbilt, and then the guy from Houston. So I don't know his name. But no, Max Clare, I think when Colin Simmons, when they'll try to stunt, I think, try to maybe get on the tackles a little bit. I think Sand might try to scramble out, and then if no one's open, you can just dump it down to people. You can dump it down to Claire or Inniss. Even if they try to drop back in coverage, maybe have three high safeties to take away Jeremiah and Carnell. So, what happened last year in the Cotton Bowl, the one catch for 3 yards, there were plenty of times Jeremiah was open. We just didn't target him, and I don't think that I think obviously Howard tried to target him and threw the pick. So I think after that we're pretty much we're gonna leave him alone. They're still gonna try to take away the whole game. They're not undouble covering him. So I think if Ohio State wins, it's gonna be a very big C.J. Donaldson, Max Clare, and Brandon in this game. I don't think this is gonna be a big game from Jeremiah. If Texas wins, this will be a very big look at their offensive line. They stepped up. Arch looked very well played. They maybe didn't play well or didn't play amazing, but he game managed. He's the ability to game manage is something that was a strong suit for him. But I don't know. I'm leaning slightly Texas, and only because it's week 1. I think if this was week 6, maybe I go Ohio State. But it's just I don't know. There's been so many times in my life where we've had games like this. Maybe not to the level this is. Oregon, Ohio State was 2 versus 3. But Ohio State tends to not play well in the regular season or not live up to their potential. But then they'll pour it on in the playoffs. So I'm going with Texas to win this game. They're 1.5 point underdogs. Everyone's picking Texas. I'm picking Texas. So hopefully Ohio State can pull that one out. But let's move on to our next monster matchup real quick. Let me see if I can find it. Here it is. All right. Let's go. So, man, rematch of the 2019 national title. If you remember that game, that was Joe Burrow versus Trevor Lawrence. So, again with the media, everyone's picking Clemson to win this game. Literally, everyone's picking Clemson to win this game. Over into the 57, so they're kind of predicting a 30-27 kind of ish game. Clemson's favored by 4.5. That's a lot. I'm taking LSU to cover, but I think I am going to take Clemson. If you guys have watched the SEC documentary, man, I don't know what Brian Kelly's doing, man. I think Dabo is a much better coach than Brian Kelly. Obviously, he has 2 national titles. Brian Kelly's never even been to the playoff at LSU. I mean, after Notre Dame, but Notre Dame plays an easy-ass schedule. So yeah, this game obviously has like the two Heisman favorite quarterbacks with Klubnik and with Nussmeier. They're the two only like veteran returning quarterbacks. I guess you can also throw Drew Aller in there, but I think people know I think these two quarterbacks are better than Drew Aller. But man, Klubnik's my Heisman winner at least right now. I'm gonna go with Clemson. I just think Clemson's line is from if they got Tom Banks from. Or not Tom Banks, sorry. I think it's Tom Allen from Penn State, their defensive coordinator. And I think Clemson's more talented than LSU, but I think it's just been their scheme. I mean, Texas ran they ran over Texas, but Texas ran all over them in that first round playoff game in Austin last year. But I could see LSU winning this game, but I think I'm going to go with Clemson. It's at Death Valley, the real Death Valley, which I think was Clemson with Howard Rock, and Rock came from California, Death Valley. So, yeah, Clemson's ranked higher. They're favorited. I think they're the better quarterback. I think they're the better roster, better coaching staff. I think they have more momentum. LSU's lost, so they won 15-0, won the national title in 2019. They have not won an opening game since 2019. That's before COVID. Joe Burrow's been to a Super Bowl since that. What are we doing? What are we doing? Obviously, all those years haven't been under Brian Kelly, but I mean, they had the disaster against Florida State a couple years ago. They played Florida State again, lost to USC last year, which was embarrassing for what USC actually turned out to be. So yeah, we're gonna go with Clemson here. And then the last game that we're going to have an in-depth look at is we're going to scroll down here. And we're going to go to Sunday night. We're going to go all the way down to Hard Rock, Miami to see Catholics versus Convicts. We're going to see Carson Beck for the first time since the injury in the SEC Championship last year. They are underdogs, 2.5. Over-under is 49.5. We're not really going to touch the over and under much, but we're going to look at the spread. I'm taking Notre Dame to cover. I think they're going to win this game, something like 27-20. It's a Sunday night game, so they're going to have to wait a little bit. But Notre Dame, I think Miami has the quarterback edge because, Carson Beck is, I guess call him a veteran. I guess the real thing is are the distractions going to keep up with him? We'll see. We will see. I don't know. But Notre Dame is favored to win this game. I've seen actually more people pick Miami over Notre Dame than people pick LSU over Clemson. So maybe it's more of an even matchup. I think it's going to be close at half. I guess even see Miami winning at half. I think CJ Carr maybe has some bumps. We've seen that from week 0. A lot of teams having slow starts, even with returning quarterbacks. Maddox Madsen honestly played pretty terrible. And he's a veteran. So yeah, we're going to keep it safe here. We're going to go with Notre Dame to win this game. We're going to make them go to cover. And I guess 27-20 is the under. So I guess if we were to bet the under, I would take the under. I would bet and I would lock in Miami to beat. Or not Miami to beat, sorry. Notre Dame to beat Miami. So let's switch back over to this monitor real quick. So Texas over Ohio State. Clemson over LSU, and then Notre Dame over Miami. So we got a couple more games we're going to go through really quickly. South Carolina versus Virginia Tech. Man, what a disappointment. This game, these two home stadiums have some of the coolest entries. And then it's neutral site. We're playing this game in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which is a cool stadium, but we're not going to get the 2001 Space Odyssey and Darude Sandstorm. We're not going to get Enter Sandman, which is a travesty. I think South Carolina's going to win this game. Are they going to cover? Probably. Maybe win this game by 12-13. So we're going to take South Carolina. Tennessee and Syracuse. I actually think Syracuse is going to cover this game. I am going to go with Tennessee. Obviously, with Nico's not there anymore, they're going to have Joey Aguilar, the App State/UCLA trade they had over the spring. Auburn and Baylor, we already covered that. We have Baylor over Auburn. Georgia Tech or Colorado, we have Georgia Tech over Colorado. And then these last three are fun. These last three are really fun. So we have Toledo and Kentucky. Kentucky's favored by 7.5. They don't have very good returning production, and it's at Kroger Field. But Toledo was 10-point underdogs last year versus Mississippi State. And Kentucky and Mississippi State are some of the worst teams in the SEC. I'm going with Toledo. I think Toledo's going to go 2-0 versus the SEC. That'll be fun. I am really pulling for Toledo. Because I can just do the safe bet and go with Kentucky. But I want to go with Toledo, stand my ground. So we're going to hop down. Let's go all the way to Pasadena. Utah, UCLA. This one's interesting because UCLA actually, I think, has the better quarterback. I think Nico is better than Dampier. I know Nico's getting a lot of hate, but I think Nico is still Nico. So, look, this game is, the Rose Bowl's not super hard to play in. It's not a huge stadium. It's a beautiful stadium, just not very hard to play in. But Kyle Whittingham, which is this last year, who knows? They're favored by 6. I think they'll win. I think they'll cover, but I think they're going to win by like 7 or 8. So, like, they're going to barely cover. It's not going to be a blowout. I don't think any of these games are going to be blowouts. So, yeah, we're going to go Utah over UCLA. I just think UCLA's, like, surrounding roster is garbage, like, pretty awful. So that brings us to last one. This is our Monday night game, Labor Day night. TCU and Sonny Dykes getting himself in another, like, famous coaching debut game. Obviously, they went to the national title, got their ass kicked, and then they played Dion for when he first his first game was against TCU, and they lost. So now, after an okay season, had some bad losses to Houston and some other teams last year. They let UCF, or did they beat UCF? Or I think no, UCF came back and won against them. They were like up 28-7 or something. But no, they're favored over North Carolina. But Bill Belichick, I think this is Colorado over again. Obviously, Belichick in North Carolina with the tons and tons of distractions. Will that catch up with them? I don't know. They just named their quarterback. I think it's good. I have a hard time reading this game, but I really think that. This one's tough. I'm going North Carolina. I think this is Colorado all over again. I think they're going to win this game and fall off a cliff. So those are our picks for today. Those are our last-minute locks. We have Texas upsetting Ohio State, Clemson beating LSU, Notre Dame beating Miami, South Carolina beating Virginia Tech, Tennessee beating Syracuse, but Syracuse covering, Baylor covering over Auburn and beating Auburn, Georgia Tech beating Colorado, Toledo upsetting another SEC team, Utah over UCLA, and North Carolina in Bill Belichick's first game beating TCU. This is fun. This is going to be so fun. Obviously, when we come back on Monday, on Labor Day night, maybe I'll be on when this game's happening. But yeah, we're going to recap all of what happened over week 1. We'll cover some of the games we didn't pick. We'll definitely cover Texas, Ohio State, and kind of maybe look at some interviews, see like how that game, whoever wins the game's interviews, see what the changing issues, and we'll go over all of that when that happens. But man, what a first episode to start. The best week 1 maybe ever. I'm gonna say number 1 versus number 2. But we have 3 top 10 matchup. This is amazing. I cannot believe that we're getting a treat like this. Obviously, week 2 and week 3 are kind of but no, week 1's gonna be fun. We are 2-2 to start off our bets. Hopefully, we can shoot over 65%. Maybe we get up to 70. Hopefully, over 70% for our total bets for the entire year. So we're currently at 50. We have 10 bets. Hopefully, we can shoot for 7 out of 10. I think that would be a good starting. And at least 6. I don't want to go 500. I want to go at least above 500. But man, yeah, that's been fun. This has been a fun first episode to start off the show. Man, this is going to be a project over the next year. Hopefully we can keep this going. But yeah, no, thank you for watching Last Minute Locks. We will be back for After the Whistle, our Monday night show, afternoon show. We'll see when we want to release that. But thank you all for watching. This has been the Hot Seat College Football Show hosted by Trent Ebert, and we'll see you on Monday. Thank you for watching, and good night.